Chris Taylor went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts tonight. He continues to, scuttle, maybe is the nice way of putting it. He's appeared in 11 games so far this year. Not all of them have been starts. So a couple times it was just one at bat if he's pinch hitting or entering late, whatever the case may be. But he's hitless in 10 of those games. Scott, take this wherever you want, and we'll go from there.
He feels like he's I know anytime I bring Chris Taylor up or tweet about it or talk about it, people say, oh, he just needs more playing time. He just needs more playing time. But we've seen him trend downward for a few years now. It's tough. Like, it's at the point where, Michael took the words right out of my mouth. It might be approaching the point where you eat the contract. I like having CT3 around because you know what he's done in the playoffs, but I don't know where he fits. I don't know, because he's had reverse splits for a bit. Oh, he's a guy on the team to hit lefties. They just have a ton of reverse split right-handers. It's just odd. It's an odd makeup with their thing. Like, Kike was hitting righties better last year, and it feels like he's going to continue that trend this year. Chris Taylor was the same way. He just can't find a barrel to save his life. He doesn't look like has a good approach. He looks lost. He looks slow. His process at the plate is super slow. Defensive wise, it's just hard to really justify it. I think they could find at-bats from a platoon standpoint somewhere else, honestly. But it's just, he's at a point where what positive can you pull from him? He's if he finds himself in an 0-2 spot, I have no confidence that he's going to be able to dig himself out of it. He's trended down for a bit. He's making enough money where the organization's going to be like, you can't just cut bait. They don't really do that anymore. The last memorable one I can really think of was like Carl Crawford, where they're like, somebody's making a considerable amount of money, we're just going to get him out of the organization. He's a all-timer for us, and like in the last 10 years of postseason stuff. So yeah, clutch in the playoffs, man. Like, I get it. I totally understand, but it's a defeating thing watching him. It's tough. It's a tough thing as a fan to really watch him go through this.
Yeah, I think what's challenging too is there's a lot of like nuance to this situation. I know fans don't necessarily want to hear that. I think on one hand, he's had, excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to put that comment up. Excuse me. Everything at the beginning of the season, whether it's good or bad, is always magnified, right? Because it's the only sample size you have. It's, 10 games, 11 games, 12 games. Like, ultimately, I know maybe it's not necessarily likely with Chris Taylor because, like you said, his struggles do extend beyond just this year. But we could get to the middle of the season and not even remember, like, oh yeah, he got off to a slow start. Now he's doing okay.
Yep.
The other side of that argument and coin, though, is like you mentioned, his struggles extend beyond this season. He's somebody who we have seen can be extremely streaky. I think for the most part, those streaks have been fewer. The upswings have declined. The number of upswings he has per season have diminished each year as we've gone further along in his contract, unfortunately. Whether it's age or whether it's, just whatever, Chris he's been open about his swing being, like you said, he needs playing time in. Well, he is getting it right now. Like, he's making a good number of starts. He was playing in the Cubs series because there were a couple left-handers they were throwing at the Dodgers. He started tonight. So he is getting his at-bats. He is getting the opportunities. He's just not cashing in. And I think the issue with him, and we've seen this in the past, is it's not so much that, oh, he's literally 0 for 4. It's that, it's the 3 strikeouts. It's the 2 strikeouts where he's not really even giving himself a shot. And, I don't know if you caught it during one of the games. I think it was the Twins series, maybe the first game, or maybe it was the Cubs. I don't know. But the broadcast was talking about his batting stance. And did you see how far down his bat was, like, angled towards the ground now?
Yep. Yeah. No, I remember when he came up. Like, it was like it just, when they fixed him, it was so rhythm and timing. And it felt like, maybe it's just playing time. Maybe it's just playing. That's something I want to believe that's the case, but he just hasn't done it consistently. He was better in the second half last year, but just like you said, everything's magnified at the moment, and he's just does not have it going. So everybody's wondering, but we're complaining about one spot of the roster, but these are prolonged issues for him. It's just, he was fixed. He was a player that he had an issue and they fixed it, and he became one of the hottest players in the team, and that earned him the contract. But now we're at the point, he's almost been a Dodger for a decade. Like, that's unbelievable. I would have never thought that Chris Taylor would have been a player for the Dodgers for this long. So it's getting to the point where is his production, is he worth keeping on the roster? I mean, he is from a cost standpoint. Are they going to be able to find stuff elsewhere? It's just that when all these guys are put together, when Outman doesn't have it going, when Kike doesn't have it going, and Taylor doesn't have it going, and God forbid they start Austin Barnes all in there, we're talking about like a doomsday 4. And then if it's 3, that's tough. It's just for a team of this magnitude to have someone where you're going to wait 3/4 of the season to really have that going. It's just tough. That's what it is. If we're talking about Kike, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, and I think another complicating factor to all of this is, look, like you and I can recognize, okay, Taylor is struggling right now. Like maybe they need to evaluate their options. I don't think a trade or DFA is on the table right now. So there's a lot of complaint. We see it you and I can both see it in the chat. People are upset. Where would the Dodgers, like, where do they go if it's not Chris Taylor? Like you mentioned, like Kike is not tearing the cover off the ball, and they have these guys, these right-handed hitters that are reverse split guys. So what, like, is there even a solution right now if you do want to basically, kind of bench him?
Miguel Vargas. Michael said it. There he is too. Yep, Mickey V. I know that's something that if you want to find out if somebody's got it, it'd be Miguel Vargas. I mean, if you're not going to, a trade won't happen right now, guys. Like it won't happen this early in the season. It'll either be Kike or Miguel Vargas or Andy Pages, and they'll just see if he can roll that in there. But Miguel Vargas, he's been tearing it. Like he's been driving in runs. He's finding some good barrels, playing left field. Free CT3 up to play the infield. Like if there's somewhere out, like Taylor Trammell is going to get DFA'd here pretty soon. That's going to happen. Like, but Jason Hayward, we'll see where he's at. But Chris Taylor's best as a utility man. Find a spot for him. Defense doesn't slump. If you want a plus bat to see if somebody within the organization can do it, it's Miguel Vargas, because they asked him to move positions again. He's in left field. He's playing well. He's primarily started there aside from a few days as OKC's DH. But if there's a direct person without having to make a monumental trade early on in the season, which is tough to formulate, it'd be Miguel Vargas.
Yeah, that's a great pick. So how long do you think then? Let's push this a little bit more. Taylor keeps going down. If Vargas keeps on his current trajectory, how long does that both need to happen for you think the Dodgers to consider, okay, like let's get Vargas up here to start playing left field? A month, 6 weeks, 2 months?
I'll say 2 months. That's probably a proper spot. Really, I mean, see what the trade deadline, if things kind of shake that up there. I would say 2 months, a month. Yeah, I'll say 6 weeks, just like you said. 6 weeks. We'll go there. I think that's a good point, because then you can evaluate if you need to do it right before the trade deadline. Honestly, because if Miguel Vargas doesn't work, then they know that you have to really find something at the deadline more. And hopefully they don't have to go at starting pitching, and they can be one of those teams early on that can attack one of those really platoon bats or somebody out there who's cheap. There's teams available, or there's guys available at the deadline aside from pitchers. So hopefully the Dodgers can avoid having to really go out and get a pitcher aside from a left-handed reliever, and go that route. But Taylor, to like, what would they do with him? That's the tough part. Like, that's the really difficult thing for me. I don't know, people are saying 6 weeks, Jay, like that's just how it is. It doesn't matter what he bats. It really doesn't. Look what he's getting paid. That's the element everyone forgets about. But he's making a ton of money. Like for who he is, a utility man in the big leagues, like he's making a ton of money. You're not just going to DFA him. It sucks as a fan. Like you're like, oh, you want everybody to produce, but the money aspect is an actual thing. Like you don't just cut bait because then you just free cash. You want to get some production, and he's been productive in the past. So you try to squeeze every bit out of juice you have out of him. So they will allow him. They will keep him going. And he finished the season better than he started. So hopefully he can do that again. It's just so early. So this sample size is just really small.
And I think, another thing too, the Dodgers they're playing for October, and they appear to have enough strengths throughout the roster that if they need to give CT 6 weeks, 2 months to potentially, try to figure it out, it appears that they have that luxury. Yes, there are going to be games here or there where you said, the bottom of the lineup, depending on who's starting, what the workload has been for everybody. There could be a few games that pop up where you look at it and it's like, man, spots 7 through 9, maybe 6 through 9 are basically automatic out type thing. Dodgers have proven time and time again that they're willing to, withstand that and take their chances. And so yeah, that's where it stands with Chris Taylor. I think we're in agreement that there's not anything that's going to happen in the near future. I think as much as Chris Taylor sort of struggled, he does have a little bit of a track record with the team, and so we can kind of see where that's going to go. Scott, do you have any closing thoughts on that?
I don't know what matchup for him because he's a reverse splits guy right now. And I'd prefer to see, like when Jason Hayward's healthy, I'd prefer to see him out there. Gavin Lux is going to be playing second base. Mookie Betts will be at short. Teoscar will be out there. Outman in center field. And then who do you play in left? So it's like you're battling for these slots. And I would take Kike Hernandez in left field over what we've got going on. So it's just an odd thing, like to have Chris Taylor making what he is and what his peak is, and now where he's at the plate. And he looks like he has no command of the batter's box at all. It's like he's swinging a sledgehammer and he's an hour late on every pitch.
Yeah. It's definitely been rough, but like we said, it is still really early in the season.
Yeah.
And so, maybe CT will find his way out of it.